Welcome to the English News Bulletin from Radio Tamaz today, Tuesday 17th of December 2024. But first, here are our headlines. Opposition says Tumaini Initiative has stalled as government delegation off to Juba for consultation. Norway commits 12.6 million to strengthen food security in South Sudan. Nagero Commissioner appeals for assistance for Tambura IDPs. UN Commission exhibits the consequence of impunity in South Sudan through video. And now, the news in detail. The Secretary General and spokesperson of the South Sudan Opposition Movement Alliance, SOMA, and other opposition groups taking part in Tumaini Initiative on Saturday said the talks have ground to halt a claim the government delegation and mediation denied. Lualdau, who addressed the press conference in Juba on Saturday afternoon, said the leadership of SOMA and other opposition groups would like to inform the public of South Sudan and the region, the international community, that the Tumaini negotiations are at deadlock. He said the attitude of the government delegation demonstrated their bad intention to obstruct the Tumaini initiatives and dismantle the Tumaini consensus. However, South Sudan Petroleum Minister Port Kang Chol, who is also the deputy leader of the government delegation to the talks, denied that the talks have been broken down and said the government delegation is going to Juba for consultation. The Norwegian embassy in Juba has announced an additional contribution of 140 million, approximately 12.6 million, to address urgent food security and protection needs in South Sudan. In a press statement on Monday, the funding will be channeled through humanitarian and development partners to support vulnerable communities, including refugees and returnees affected by Sudan's war and widespread flooding that has devastated livelihoods and undermined resilience across the country. Norway's commitments remains steadfast, with the country contributing over 100 million in development and humanitarian aid to South Sudan in the past year. You are listening to the English News on Radio Tamazuj. The new governor of the Bank of South Sudan, Johnny Uhisha Tumaini, on Friday issued a directive stopping the 10 million South Sudanese pounds cash withdrawal limits by clients from individual accounts in commercial banks. According to the Finance Ministry, there has been scarcity of local currency bills in circulation because people are hoarding cash due to diminished trust in commercial banks. On Monday night, President Salva Kiir fired Garang Ali as governor of Central Bank of South Sudan and appointed Johnny Uhisha Tumaini, who served in the position before, in his place. The Commissioner of Nagero County in Western Equatorial State has called for humanitarian aid for thousands of internally displaced persons who fled violence from neighboring Tambura County. Speaking to Tamaz on Sunday, the newly appointed Commissioner, Henry Bakata Asaya, said the humanitarian situation of the IDPs from Tambura is dire, as they are currently sheltering in schools and open space without food, clean drinking water, and medicines. 11,000 IDPs have been confirmed to have arrived in Namatina, Payam, while 17,000 others are in Duma Payam of Nagero County. He explained that the IDPs fled the intercommunal fightings in Tambura County, which erupted in 2021 and has since been intermittent. You are listening to the English News on Radio Tamazuj. The authorities in Morobo County, Central Equatorial State, on Thursday said 3 local youth who were detained at the SSPDF barracks for different reasons have been set free after collaborative efforts by the army and the local government. Addressing the media after the release of the youths, County Commissioner Charles Tata said he was happy that they were free and advised them to desist from criminal activity. For his part, Amiki James Destiny, one of the freed youths, said he was not tortured and advised the public to seek permission before taking pictures in public places. Meanwhile, Isaac Moro, the security coordinator in the county, assured the public that the relationship between the National Army, security organs, and other civilians in Morobo County will continue to improve as the number of the returnees from refugee camps keeps increasing. The Ngok Dinga and Miseria communities from western, eastern, and central corridors of the disputed ABA area, which straddles the border of South Sudan and Sudan, on 12th December signed an agreement to ensure a peaceful migration season. According to the Saturday press statement from the United Nations Interim Security Forces for ABA, UNISFA, the agreement was signed at the end of the 4-day seasonal pre-migration conference, bringing together 154 representatives from the 2 communities. The Union of Journalists of South Sudan, UJOS, has voiced concerns about the disappearance of Emmanuel Manchola Cobb, the editor-in-chief of the Dawn Daily English newspaper, following his alleged arrest by the National Security Service last month. On 28 November, officers believed to have come from the National Security Service visited the Dawn Daily newspaper office in Juba, held a meeting with Cobb, and subsequently took him into custody without presenting an arrest warrant. Since then, he has not been heard from. Patrick Uyet, president of the Union of Journalists in South Sudan, emphasized that South Sudan law mandates that any individual arrested be brought before competent court within 24 hours. A corpse arrest adds to troubling trend harassment of the media practitioners in South Sudan. You are listening to the English News on Radio Tamazuj. Armed clashes erupted on Friday evening between armed youth from Jonglei State and their Murle counterparts in Greater Bibra administrative areas, Kumuruk County, local authorities said on Saturday. Greater Bibra Administrative Information Minister Jacob Urchumjok told the Tamasi on Saturday that the attack was intense and escalating. The minister said the youth are putting up a fight against the advanced attackers who were heavily armed and had crossed from Jonglei State after days of mobilization. However, in response, Jonglei State Information Minister Nyamar Lony said they were not aware of the ongoing fighting, distanced any involvement from Jonglei. Meanwhile, Yedumani Akane, a civil society activist and executive director of the Community Empowerment Progress Organization (CEPO), condemned the ongoing fighting and urged the government intervention. The Minister of Information, Communication and Technology, Postal Service, said on Friday that the death toll from the cholera outbreak across the country has risen to 60. Addressing reporters shortly after the cabinet meeting chaired by President Salva Kiir Mayardit in Juba, Makwei said the refugees and internally displaced persons have been most affected by the outbreak. According to the minister, the government is exerting efforts to rescue the situation and plans are underway to acquire more vaccines. He also urged South Sudanese to adopt preventive measures to avoid the repeat spread of the disease. You are listening to the English News on Radio Tamazuj. The administrator of Adok Payam in United States, Lair County, has been released from detention by the SPLIO commanders following the intervention of the first Vice President Dr. Riek Machar after spending 3 weeks in jail. Speaking to Tamasi on Friday, the police director in Lair County, Tortor, confirmed the release of James Pichok Katluak on Thursday afternoon after being arrested on 26 November. 2 weeks ago, Dr. Machar, the commander-in-chief of the SPLIO, orders his forces to release the Payam administrator through a letter directed to the local commander in the areas. Lair County Commissioner Stephen Taker Dong confirmed Pichok's release from detention on Thursday. South Sudan Minister of Finance announced on Monday that it has started paying 1 month's salary arrears to civil servants and organized forces after workers going unpaid for nearly a year. Tech Stephen Ogut, the Director of Communication at the Finance Ministry, confirmed the commencement of payments. This development follows a directive from the President Salva Kiir Mayardit last week instructing the Minister of Finance and Economic team to prioritize settling the salary arrears owed to public employees as quick as possible. The South Sudanese pound's sharp depreciation has worsened the economic situation, now standing at 5,000 South Sudanese pounds to the US dollar in the black market. This is compounded by the scarcity of the US dollars, exacerbating the country's economic woes. Additionally, a critical oil pipeline vital for South Sudan's oil export was damaged in Sudan amid ongoing conflict further strained the nation's finance. And finally, the UN Commission on Human Rights in South Sudan on Saturday released a 19-minute video report that illustrates the persistence of egregious violence and serious human rights violations across the country, fueled by pervasive impunity, which has left traumatized South Sudanese waiting for justice and accountability. The report is to commemorate the 11th anniversary of the outbreak of civil war in South Sudan, which started in mid-December 2013. Titled The Unrelenting Cycle of Violence in South Sudan, the video draws on the accounts of victims to demonstrate the pain, suffering, and damage that violent conflict and brutal violation have inflicted on the individuals and families, communities, tearing apart the very fabric of South Sudanese society. We have come to the end of English News Bulletin from Radio Tamasi today. Join us again on Friday this week, same time, same place. Have a good evening.